In life, you have two choices. You can build a lifestyle or you can live a bullshit life, but you can't do both. Welcome to the Freedom Lifestyle Experience, where we focus on building the lifestyle you want. And now here's your host, Michael Burns.
Welcome back to another episode of the Freedom Lifestyle Experience. I'm your host, Mike Burns. How's everyone doing? We've had, looking out the office window today, we got quite a bit of snow out here in Utah. So this week I want to talk about preparation. On Saturday, Kia and I we had about 15 people over to our house, and we had brought this guy in, and he was basically we did an all day 6 or 7 hour training on basically emergency medical training, like trauma medical. So we were at a gun show last year, probably last summer, and one of the guys that had a booth there, he was selling, all sorts of different first aid kits and just different medical packages that you could buy, all sorts of different levels, basic, first aid shit for your car, all the way up to like you were ready full blown for war. So we got talking to this guy, and it's like, okay, well, you've got all these different, packs, like what's in the packs? Like there's all sorts of just military grade bandages and just different shit that we had never seen before and weren't really aware of. And the guy told us like he actually does trainings where he'll hold training classes that you could go to and basically learn how to do all this medical stuff. But he said he also does like private events too. So we had been in touch with him and finally lined up a date. So on Saturday, we had about 15 people over at our house, and this guy came in and he did training for us. So he's got been on the SWAT team, and then he ran the flight program for the University of Utah, like the medic flight program where, someone gets hurt and they fly out the helicopter and do all that. So pretty much 30 years deep of any and everything, military, police, hospital training with essentially like emergency medical. So he came in and we did this class, and it was really cool. And one of the things, like he said multiple things, but just as we were in the class, he said a couple of things that stuck with me, and it just kind of sparked the whole thought of what today's show is going to be about, which is preparation. But he said, when you have a plan, it gives you confidence. And that was something that just really set in with me. When you have a plan, it gives you confidence. So, especially like if you were to roll up on a car wreck or some sort of medical situation happened and you had a little bit of a training and a little bit of a plan, you could have confidence in that moment. Or if you're executing on a business deal and you've got a plan, you're going to have confidence in that. And really what's behind the confidence is it's really the preparation, and having the preparation, the plan, the training, the reps that really comes into play. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. And really the idea of being prepared, it applies to everything, like any and all things in life, it really applies to. But going back to COVID, when COVID first started and Utah, they started shutting shit down the middle of March, late March. And, you saw on social media, and maybe if you watch TV or whatever, you'd see clips of stores that had bare shelves and stuff. And I remember Kia and I went down to our local grocery store that we shopped at the time. We don't shop there now because we vote with our dollars, and this place doesn't get our dollars anymore. It's called Harmon's. If you're in the Salt Lake City or if they're Utah area, Harmon's is one of those businesses that has decided to act the way that they do. And, when people start voting with their dollars and spending your dollars at pro-America and pro-freedom companies, it starts to get their attention. So anyways, we don't shop there anymore. But we went there, and it was later at night, but I just remember rolling through, and the shelves were bare, and it was super eerie. It's just I'd never experienced anything like that. So we went through and, grabbed a cart or two worth of shit, and we were filling up gas cans and stuff afterwards at the gas station. And just going through the whole COVID situation really made Kia and I realize how unprepared we were. Like, yeah, we're prepared financially. We got money set aside and credit lines and, prepared there, but we were not prepared for any sort of situation like this. We didn't have extra gas on hand. We didn't have the food storage. We didn't have just all the basic shit that you would really need in the event that everything shut down for a couple of weeks. So that was a big eye opener for me, and really kind of sparked like, what else are we not prepared in? And really starting to take this preparation thing serious, not only on the home front and getting your house in order, but it's like, what else am I not prepared with? What other blind spots do I have, or what other gaps do I have due to lack of preparation. And in the event that a situation were to happen, whether it's life, business, family, whatever it might be, where's those blind spots at and what can I do to make sure that I'm prepared moving forward? So as I'm just thinking about, just going through the whole COVID situation and then expanding on the preparation there, and then this class that we had with this guy over the weekend, and a couple of things that I wrote down that I wanted to share, and just some different thoughts in that in the whole being prepared conversation. But the more prepared we are, the better we will perform. I'll repeat that. The more prepared we are, the better we will perform. And really, if you look at any sort of pro athlete, they spend a tremendous amount of time preparing for just a small performance, an hour-long game. Like, think about the Super Bowl that we just had. The amount of preparation and practice and running drills and conditioning and weightlifting and studying the playbook and watching game film, studying the other team, just all the mental preparedness, the physical conditioning, all of the preparation that goes on for just a 60-minute game or 40 minutes of game time. Like people who are elite performers, their preparation like the amount of preparation that goes into just a small event, it's so lopsided, and that's really where you're winning the game, And so the more prepared you are, the better you're going to perform. And that's when like the preparation and the reps and everything, like when guys are shooting a free throw, they've done that a million times, hundreds of thousands of times. So it's just automatic. But one thing that this guy had said, when he's rolling up on a situation, identifying what the immediate need is and then what needs care right now. And he was talking about like when you roll up on a crisis situation, how much like your blood's pumping, your adrenaline's pumping. And that's when you really revert back to your training, which is your preparedness. So you take, he called them combat breaths, but you take 3 deep breaths, 3 times, and then handle the situation. And that's really where the training and the preparedness comes into play. But going back to pros or anyone who's elite at what they do, as you guys know, I'm in Arte Syndicate, and I refer back to that a lot because I've learned so much from Andy and Ed, and those guys are obviously elite performers. But Ed Milet told us one time that he spends 30 hours preparing for a 1-hour talk, 30 hours for a 1-hour presentation. Now, I'm sure at this point the dude's the greatest speaker in the world. He probably has this different things down, but I just remember when he told us that, I was just like, and he's always talking about the preparation, and Andy's always talking about doing the work and running the play and just winning the day. But 30 hours going into one talk or the preparation for a speech, I just thought that was wild. Another thing that requires a tremendous amount of preparation for just a small period of time is bodybuilding or any type of physique show. Like I've got a couple of buddies that are into that. And just, they've got 6 months of working out, hardcore diet, militant diet, waking up, doing fasted cardio, and just the amount of preparation and shit that goes into maybe 5 minutes of standing on stage in your, in your board shorts or your, man bikini, whatever, and sitting there, showing off all the work that you've done. Or a business meeting, like a deal, for example, the amount of like preparation that goes into raising capital and having the understanding of like what does a deal look like, and putting your team in place and all the preparation that's required for you to have in place. So when an opportunity comes up and you see a deal, you can jump on it. You've probably heard the saying before, is luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And that really is the truth. So like I said, it doesn't matter if it's your home life, your business, like whatever it is, our lack of preparation or us being prepared is really going to decide what's going to happen when it comes down to that moment where you need to take action. Like either you're prepared and you're ready or you're not. And what's comforting about this is being prepared is something that's totally in our control. I've talked about in the show, and my mentor Mark Evans is always talking about control the controllables, because that's what we can, we can't control the outside world. We can't control other people. We can't control what happens and what comes in our way, but we can absolutely control our controllables, and being prepared is a huge part of that. So when we were the Burns team, before we opened up lifestyle lending and lifestyle realty, and we were just, branded the Burns Team Homes and Loans, but the logo for that is an iceberg. And I'm sure you guys have seen like the meme, or there's some different wall arts that places sell that's posted on social media, but essentially it's an iceberg. And, below the water line, the whole concept is nobody sees below the water line. And you just see, what's above the water line, and below the water line, that's where the preparation's at. But that's also where the grind is, the grit is, the long nights, the no weekends, the cold calls, the debt, the eating shit, the failure, the failing again, and all of the preparation and all of the work that goes into what you see above the water line. And that's why in business, people, all of a sudden someone will show up hot on the scene and it's like, oh, this guy's an overnight success. It's like, no, he's been grinding and busting his ass and eating shit and taking his licks for 20 years. It's just now people are seeing the accomplishments and momentum because of the preparation is now starting to take the center stage, if you will. And that's why I picked that logo. But the thing with the iceberg, I just connect with it so much because the preparation, it's not sexy and no one sees it. Preparations, it's not a hot topic on Instagram. It's not the result, right? Everybody's so focused on the result and the end goal, and no one really focuses on the preparation and looking at what really went into that. And last week when I was talking about, buying the Ferrari, this is exactly what I was talking about. It's not about the Ferrari, but that's what's sexy and that's what people see and that's what is attention grabbing. But all the shit that went into that Ferrari being parked on top of the iceberg, that's what I'm talking about here. And when you really start taking this shit serious and taking personal accountability for controlling your controllables and doing your part, whether it's doing the work, the mindset, making sure you're on top of your environment, you're doing the self-development, you're doing all the different work, you're controlling the controllables, that's being prepared. And when you do that over time, you're going to start to get momentum. But there's also going to come situations that are opportunities for your work and your preparation to show. So whether it's I'm at the gun range and an accident happens and I have this training, but not only do I have this training, I also have the equipment to be able to act on it. Or I've been preparing myself in business and doing everything I'm doing and a big deal comes up. Just like, for example, last week I saw this 24 unit deal hit my email, 24 unit apartment deal in Albuquerque, New Mexico popped up. Well, guess what? I'm prepared for something like that. I've got money, I've got capital, I'm bankable because I'm part of a mastermind group. I've got a new buddy and contact who's in one of my high-level mastermind groups, and he lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So because I was prepared and I saw an opportunity, well, it looks like I'm going to get lucky here because, I pick up the phone. I'm like, hey, bro, are you interested in this deal? I got this deal. I'll bring the deal and half the money. You're there locally, boots on the ground. Why don't you bring the other half of the money and operate the deal and deal with the shit, boots on the ground, local, and let's do this thing together. And just boom, it happened. But that's because I was prepared. And another thing that this guy that we were working with over the weekend said, and he said that's cool. He had us raise our hands like, hey, who has a first aid kit? Who's got whatever level it is? But basically he was insinuating like who's got a first aid kit at whatever level it might be. And he said, what good is your first aid kit if you don't know how to use it? If you don't know how to do a tourniquet, or you don't know how to use an Israeli battle wound bandage, if you don't know and you don't have the training to use the tools that you have, well, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing with a handgun, with this crazy world we're living in and all the different things. It's like people think because they go to the store and they buy a 9mm and they got some bullets and stuff and they've got a gun that they're safe and they're protected and everything's good. Well, if you don't know how to shoot the fucking gun, it doesn't really matter if you have it. So you could have whatever tools it is you think you need, but if you don't know how to use them, they're useless to you. Going back to the preparation thing, like even right now myself, calling myself out for being a little bit of a hypocrite, I bought a really nice generator probably late, like in the fall. Last fall, I bought this badass generator. It's big enough to run my whole house, but I don't have it set up. So it's like, okay, we're in the middle, right now it's snowing outside. We've probably got 6 inches of snow in my front yard. And if the power went out tonight, that generator does me no good. Even though I have it and it looks pretty and it's this robust, badass generator that's capable of powering my whole house, and we wouldn't skip a beat if things went out. It's not set up, and I don't have, I haven't had the electrician come out and fully wire it. I don't know how to use it. I haven't broken out the manual. I haven't filled it with oil. So even though I have this tool, it does me no good because it's not set up and I don't know how to use it. And it's the same thing with no matter what it is. Like if you don't know how to operate the vehicle that you're in and you can't get it out of park, it doesn't even matter if you have it. So, at this point, I've kind of made the point of preparation and the point that I'm trying to get across here. But how is that relevant to you? Because that's the whole purpose of this show, is I'm trying to give applicable tactical stuff that, is not only motivational, but you can actually go do something with it. So I would invite you guys, take a look at your, start with your household situation. Like, are you prepared if a situation were to go down? Are you ready? And again, just because you have the different tools and the different things, that doesn't mean you're prepared, and it doesn't mean that you're ready and you're going to be in a position to where you can execute if it comes down to where you need to execute. Another thing to keep in mind is, when we're in a high stress situation, your motor skills are not going to be as good. Your blood's going to be pumping. You're going to be pretty amped up. And that's really when the preparation part comes in, and the reps and the practice and your training is going to kind of take over in that moment. So really, like I said, encourage you to take a look at your home situation. Like, are you prepared there? If you follow me and if you vibe with my message, you're probably down with the Second Amendment, and like, that's great. You have a gun, but do you know how to use it? If you don't, go. And even if you do know how to use it, you need to practice, right? Like, if without practice and without repetition, we lose our skill set. So that's great. You have a gun, but go out to the desert, go down to the shooting range and practice with it, shoot it, learn how to handle it, how to maneuver it, how to load it. If it jams, what do you do if it jams? Like, not only is it preparation to make sure that, you can use the gun in the situation that you need to, but also if you're going to be a gun owner, it's a responsibility that you have to yourself, to your family, and to the community, that you actually know what the fuck you're doing if you're going to be handling something that's got the capabilities that, a rifle or a pistol or a shotgun or whatever it might have. And same thing in business, you have to be prepared. I'm a real estate guy, and people are always asking me, like, what do I do to get into real estate? How do I get a deal? Well, it's like, if you don't even know how to analyze a deal could fall in your lap today. But if you don't even know how to look at something and realize if it's a deal or not, you're not prepared. So learn the market, learn how to run comps, get a rough idea of what shit costs. Like, start building the relationships that you need. You're going to need hard money lenders. You're going to need a realtor. You're going to need, a title person, an attorney. You're going to need contractors. Start doing the work to be prepared. So, like I said, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Same thing with your health and fitness, right? Are you prepared with a meal plan? Like, are you prepared with a workout plan? Or are you just fucking winging it? Like, the bottom line is when you have a plan, you're going to feel more confident. And that was one of the biggest things this guy said to me over the weekend, is when you have a plan, you're going to feel more confident. And that's really what we're trying to do here, guys, is, as you have confidence, you're going to continue showing up and doing the work. And that's part of building the momentum. And as you keep showing up, and as you keep preparing, and as you keep doing the work, you're going to start building some self-confidence, which is going to turn into momentum, which is going to turn into results. And you just keep building on that and building on that and building on that. And that's freedom lifestyle experience, right? No matter, whether it's, like I said, money, home life, relationships, whatever it might be, are you preparing yourself to be a good spouse, a good partner? Are you working on the things that aren't good traits and good qualities to be in relationship with somebody? If you've got some insecurity issues when you're in a relationship with someone and your insecurity issues start coming up, that's going to be a problem. It's going to come across as jealousy. It's going to come across as needy. So there's all of these different things that we can do to be prepared, and that's controlling the controllables. And really, like I say in every show, and the foundation of my message, it's at the end of the day, what it is it's taking personal accountability for any and everything. So I really hope that provides some value. I got some great news, guys. I'm back on the gram. So please follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to rebuild this thing. My handle is at Mr. Mike Burns. Burns, Burns. As always, I'm still on Facebook, Mr. Michael Burns. But if you like the show, if you're learning from the show, if it brings you any sort of value, please share it, tell a friend, leave me a review. And again, I want to hear from you guys. You know, some of you hit me up with different topics, and I really appreciate that. And I want some feedback as well. So until then, go build that lifestyle, and we'll see you guys next week.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.